Damn lucky brat is truly damn lucky. Xiaoyan was fortunate enough to complete the final breakthrough and successfully advance to Earth Supreme. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Continuing from last time, an overwhelmingly terrifying fluctuation of energy swept across the world, tearing through the heavens like an invisible tempest. The very air trembled under its pressure, and in the distance, mountain ranges crumbled one after another, collapsing with thunderous roars as though unable to withstand the descending might. Amid the chaos, Xiaoyan stood suspended within the void. From the outside, he appeared no different than usual, calm, composed, his expression steady as ever. But deep within his body, a violent and earth-shattering transformation was taking place. His supreme sea churned like a furious ocean caught in a cataclysmic storm. Waves of spiritual power collided and exploded within him, surging wildly, threatening to break free of his control at any moment. It was the most critical step of his cultivation. A single misstep would lead to devastation. In the distance, Yuan Yun watched with a faint, amused smile. His eyes gleamed with cold mockery as he observed Xiaoyan trapped in this perilous breakthrough. Advancing to the Earth Supreme realm. That was a threshold countless cultivators dreamed of, yet few ever crossed. The difficulty was beyond imagination. In this vast world, Supremes were not rare. But true Earth Supremes, they were as scarce as phoenix feathers and killin horns. The chasm between the two realms was not merely one of power, but of destiny. "You are destined to fail," Yuan Yun said softly, his voice carrying a chilling indifference. "But even so, I am willing to personally send you on your final journey." The moment his words fell, an icy killing intent spread across the heavens. From within Yuan Yun's body, a terrifying grey flame erupted. It was no ordinary fire, its color was dull and lifeless, yet it exuded a suffocating aura of destruction. The space around it distorted and cracked, as though being devoured. A colossal wave of grey fire surged upward, blotting out the sky. Like a raging tidal wave of death, it roared forward, swallowing everything in its path as it charged toward Xiaoyan. The sheer force of it was enough to instantly annihilate any expert standing at the peak of the Supreme Realm. Even those half a step into Earth Supreme would struggle to survive. Yuan Yun had chosen his timing perfectly. He intended to kill Xiaoyan in a single decisive strike, while his internal power was still unstable, while his breakthrough was incomplete, while chaos still reigned within him. The grey sea of flames tore through the void, closing in with unstoppable momentum. Yet, facing the oncoming inferno, Xiaoyan did not retreat. Instead, a faint smile curved upon his lips. In the next instant, under Yuan Yun's astonished gaze, Xiaoyan stepped forward and rushed straight toward the devouring sea of grey flames. Yuan Yun was momentarily stunned when he saw Xiaoyan charge headlong into the raging inferno. But the shock quickly faded, replaced by a cold, mocking sneer. "Courting death," he muttered. This grey flame was no ordinary fire. It ranked within the top 50 of the 100 million flame rankings, an existence both rare and terrifying. Its power was incomparably pure, violently condensed, and far superior to ordinary spiritual flames. Even seasoned Supremes would treat it with extreme caution. In the past, Xiaoyan had relied on his heavenly flames to overturn impossible odds. That alone had seemed almost unbelievable. But devouring this flame, Yuan Yun's eyes narrowed. The spiritual power contained within the grey flame far surpassed that of common spiritual energy. It was dense, tyrannical, and difficult to refine. Attempting to absorb it during a breakthrough was no different from pouring molten metal into an already unstable furnace. Even for Xiaoyan, wasn't this too reckless? High above the shattered mountains, Xiaoyan's figure streaked across the sky like a beam of light and plunged directly into the overwhelming torrent of grey fire. Boom! The flames instantly swallowed him whole. Inside the sea of grey fire, the world turned silent and distorted. The pure, violent energy surged in all directions, twisting space until it rippled and warped like heated glass. Every strand of flame carried terrifying destructive force, enough to melt spiritual defenses in mere moments. Xiaoyan hovered within the inferno, his robes fluttering wildly under the pressure. His eyes slowly swept across the surrounding flames, sensing the frightening purity of their power. Even space itself seemed on the verge of liquefying. A dangerous smile crept onto his lips. He licked them lightly, and a flash of frenzy flickered through his eyes. "Perfect," he murmured. The next instant a white figure drifted gently out from within his body. It was slender and ethereal, formed from the fusion of all the heavenly flames residing within him. Though composed entirely of fire, it appeared as a graceful white-robed figure radiating an ancient yet vibrant aura. Its delicate features bore a faint resemblance to little Yi, the once small and mischievous flame spirit of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Decades had passed since the earth-shaking battle of the two emperors. Time had transformed everything. The once tiny flame spirit who had clung to Xiaoyan's side had long since grown. Her aura was now far deeper, far steadier. The playful innocence of the past had matured into quiet strength, yet a familiar spark still glimmered in her eyes. Throughout the years, Xiaoyan had always used her as the core among the many flame spirits within him, not because she was the strongest, but because of the profound tacit understanding between them. Their connection transcended words. Facing the raging grey inferno, Xiaoyan turned to the white-robed flame spirit and asked softly, "How is it?" His eyes burned with anticipation. "Can you digest it?" Pointing at the rolling grey sea of flames that surged endlessly around them, Xiaoyan spoke in a calm yet resolute tone. "I'll stabilize the turbulence in my supreme sea. You handle these flames." The white-robed figure, little Yi, tilted her head slightly as she gazed at the violent inferno. Her eyes, clear and luminous, reflected the raging firelight. After a brief moment of sensing, she replied softly, "These flames are not its true body. They are only extensions of its core essence. They won't be difficult to devour." Xiaoyan's gaze sharpened. "How long?" 3 minutes. A faint smile curved his lips. "Good. Then let's see who's faster." Without another word, his hands began to move. Seal after seal formed in rapid succession, his fingers weaving complex patterns that left afterimages in the air. Deep within his body, the churning supreme sea roared like a storm-tossed ocean. Vast waves of spiritual power collided violently, threatening to spiral out of control. But Xiaoyan's expression remained steady. Threads of majestic spiritual energy descended from above, drawn in by his seals. They poured into his body, merging into the chaotic supreme sea, gradually calming its turbulence. Every breath he took was measured, every movement precise. This was a race against death. Meanwhile, little Yi stepped lightly forward. The white robe formed from heavenly flames fluttered gently, despite the raging storm of grey fire. A faint white radiance began to spread from her body, pure, sacred, yet containing a terrifying, devouring force. The grey flames around her seemed to tremble. Then, they began to flow toward her. High above the boundless sea of fire, Yuan Yun stood with his hands behind his back, gazing down coldly. In his eyes, Xiaoyan's reckless plunge into the inferno was nothing more than suicide. No matter how monstrous his talent, trying to refine such a flame during a breakthrough was sheer madness. A cold smile slowly lifted Yuan Yun's lips. At that very moment he sensed Xiaoyan's aura beginning to weaken. It was subtle at first, like a candle flickering in the wind. Then it grew fainter. Half a minute later, Xiaoyan's aura vanished entirely from within the sea of grey fire. The oppressive presence that had once resisted him was gone without a trace. Yuan Yun narrowed his eyes for a brief moment, then let out a low sneer. A person from a lower plane, reaching 9th grade supreme at such a young age. He paused, his gaze indifferent. Truly a genius. A faint shake of his head followed. What a pity. To him, Xiaoyan's disappearance meant only one thing: complete annihilation. No one could survive being swallowed by that torrent of grey fire while in the midst of a breakthrough. With Xiaoyan eliminated, there was no longer any reason for him to remain. Yan Yao's figure flickered and transformed into a streak of light shooting toward the distant battlefield. His next objective was clear: join forces with Tongdan and eliminate Yuan Yun. As long as they suppressed the latter, the balance of power would collapse. Victory in this grand battle would undoubtedly belong to them. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, what had once been majestic mountain ranges stretching endlessly across the horizon had been reduced to a desolate wasteland. The earth was torn apart, vast fissures splitting the land like scars from an ancient catastrophe. Rivers had evaporated, forests reduced to ash, and towering peaks crushed into rubble. This was the battlefield where Yuan Yun and Tongdan had clashed. The remnants of their terrifying confrontation still lingered in the air, violent spiritual fluctuations twisting space, shockwaves echoing like distant thunder. Above the ruined land, two towering figures stood opposite each other. Their auras collided silently, and the true outcome of the battle had yet to be decided. In the clash moments earlier, Tongdan had been driven to the brink. Under the overwhelming pressure exerted by Yuan Yun, he had no choice but to reveal one of his most formidable trump cards, a replica of the primordial divine cannon. Though only a replica, its appearance alone caused the heavens to tremble. The true primordial divine cannon had been created in the most ancient era by a supreme, unparalleled powerhouse whose name had long since faded into legend. It was said that this being once stood at the pinnacle of the great thousand world, gazing down upon all creation. Within the canon were recorded countless primordial divine arts, each one transcending ordinary divine techniques. These were not mere cultivation methods, they were laws refined, condensed, and weaponized. Every art possessed the power to overturn seas and shatter stars. During the world-destroying war that had once plunged the great thousand world into darkness, the primordial divine canon fought alongside the 10 supreme dharmakayas. Together they became pillars of resistance, aiding countless supreme experts in severely wounding the invading foreign overlords. Its radiance once illuminated an age, but when the Great War finally subsided and peace gradually returned, the primordial divine canon vanished without a trace. Some said it had been shattered. Others believed it had chosen a new master. More whispered that it was waiting for the next calamity. In the ages that followed, only a very small portion of its divine techniques were inherited. The majority were scattered across the vast world, hidden in ancient ruins, lost realms, and forbidden lands. Within the ancient Tongtian Mang clan, two precious primordial divine arts had been passed down through generations. They were clan-defining treasures, and only the most extraordinary individuals were deemed worthy of cultivating them. Thus, even Tongdan, holy son of the clan, and a late-stage Earth Supreme, was not qualified to wield the true primordial divine canon. What he possessed was merely a replica, painstakingly refined by the clan's ancestors through immeasurable effort. Yet even as a replica, its might was astonishing. Before Yuan Yun could fully react, Tongdan had already activated the summoning technique recorded within the canon. Ancient runes spiraled into existence, forming a blinding formation that descended from the heavens. In an instant, invisible divine chains locked onto Yuan Yun. Space froze. Spiritual energy stagnated. For a split second, even a powerhouse of Yuan Yun's caliber was firmly restrained. Tongdan's eyes flashed with ruthless determination. With a thunderous roar, he unleashed a beam of white light from the replica cannon hovering above him. The beam was pure, so pure it seemed to contain the essence of primordial creation itself. Yet within that purity lay absolute destruction. It tore through space like a judgment descending from the heavens and struck Yuan Yun head-on. Boom! The impact was cataclysmic. The white beam did not dissipate after the strike. Instead, it surged forward unabated, carrying with it an unstoppable force that split the sky and earth apart. Though it was only a replica of the ancient canon, its power was still enough to shake an entire continent. The nameless continent beneath them was blasted open, torn apart by a massive rift that stretched endlessly across the land like a scar carved by the gods themselves. Mountains crumbled into dust. Oceans recoiled. The earth fractured layer by layer under the divine force. And far in the distance, the vast sea of grey fire, where Xiaoyan had once been engulfed, was instantly erased, as if it had never existed at all. Just as Yan Yao and Tong Dan believed that victory had already fallen into their hands, the heavens suddenly changed. A streak of 9-colored light swept across the sky like a divine rainbow cutting through eternity. The terrifying white beam that had split the continent apart trembled violently and was torn to pieces. Space shattered layer by layer, and from within the collapsing radiance, a figure slowly emerged. It was Yuan Yun. His robes were in tatters, blood staining his body, his aura chaotic and violent. Yet he still stood upright, his gaze blazing with unyielding will. At the most critical moment, he had forcefully activated the primordial divine vein hidden within his body. That ancient bloodline power had erupted, shielding him from certain death. Boom! A vast surge of spiritual power burst outward from him. His aura climbed, higher and higher, until it reached the peak Earth Supreme level. The heavens trembled beneath that terrifying pressure. However, the primordial divine vein within him was incomplete. The power it released was unstable, wild, and destructive. His aura fluctuated violently, rising and falling like a collapsing star. At any moment, he could explode from within. But even so, the sight of him standing there sent shockwaves through both Yan Yao and Tong Dan. And before either of them could recover, in a distant ravine far beyond the shattered battlefield, a pillar of light suddenly shot into the sky. It pierced through clouds, tore apart lingering spiritual turbulence, and connected heaven and earth. Yan Yao's expression changed drastically, because within that pillar was the unmistakable aura of an Earth Supreme. Originally, Xiaoyan's breakthrough should have required far more time. The turbulence in his Supreme Sea had been far too violent. Even with Little Yi's assistance stabilizing, it should have taken much longer. But fate had intervened. When Tong Dan's replica cannon unleashed that world-splitting white beam, Xiaoyan had narrowly avoided being struck directly. Instead, the beam's residual shockwaves containing incomparably pure primordial power had surged across the battlefield, and those shockwaves had been perfectly devoured. Little Yi absorbed the scattered divine flames. Xiaoyan refined the overflowing residual energy. The destructive force meant to annihilate everything had instead become nourishment. 3 minutes had not even fully passed, and Xiaoyan had stepped beyond the threshold. He had truly broken through. He was now an Earth Supreme. On the other side of the continent, Tong Dan stared at Yuan Yun in disbelief. "You're still alive." Rage and shock intertwined in his eyes. Yuan Yun wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his expression cold. Without wasting a word, he stepped forward. The battlefield exploded once more. Their auras collided violently, tearing apart what little remained of the ruined continent. Meanwhile, Yan Yao slowly turned his gaze toward the distant pillar of light. From within it, Xiaoyan's figure gradually stepped forward. His aura was steady, profound, and vast, like an endless ocean hidden beneath calm waters. Yan Yao's face darkened. "You truly surprise me." Xiaoyan's expression was tranquil. "What will surprise you even more is still to come." Yan Yao let out a cold laugh, but killing intent surged wildly in his eyes. "Don't think that becoming an Earth Supreme means you can contend with me." His voice grew colder, sharper. "Breaker from the lower plane, aside from talent, how strong can you truly be?" A ferocious expression twisted his face. Boom! Terrifying aura erupted from his body without restraint. Within hundreds of thousands of miles, the shattered land ignited once more. Endless flames rose from the cracks in the earth, turning the entire region into a boundless sea of fire. At this moment, Yan Yao had pushed his power to its absolute limit. The sky dimmed. The ground trembled. He would make Xiaoyan understand. Even after advancing to Earth Supreme, he was still no match for him. Yan Yao slowly raised his palm and extended it toward Xiaoyan. The spiritual power within the heavens surged violently, gathering above him, like a golden storm. Under his control, it condensed and twisted, forming a massive dark golden dragon python. The colossal creature coiled across the sky, its body spanning thousands of miles. Its scales shimmered with ancient runes, each one radiating crushing pressure. It let out a silent roar that shook the firmament. Its pair of golden eyes locked tightly onto Xiaoyan, cold, dominating, unforgiving. Faced with such overwhelming might, Xiaoyan merely sneered. In the next instant, dazzling brilliance erupted behind him. Light of countless colors burst forth like a newborn sun. Then, flames. Endless flames. Crimson, azure, golden, white, violet. Countless enormous heavenly flames surged into existence, filling the sky behind him. So numerous, they were impossible to count. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.